and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Ne0 Gets to Know, of course, the podcast, the show where I interview pros from all over the world, different scenes, different games. Today, I'm joined by the wonderful COJOMO, who plays for DavenPort University. Now, of course, you've been pretty making a name for yourself, DavenPort. Fragadelphia recently was a decent run. You've started to make waves in towards ECL as well. But let's go back to the start. First of all, mate, how you doing? Thank you for joining me.
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Let's talk about CSGO for you. How did you get involved into esports generally, not even CSGO? What was your first instance in kind of, playing games? How did that lead to sort of now what is essentially the pathway to a career in esports?
Yeah, I mean, like everyone else, I pretty much grew up playing video games. I played Xbox and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
I've always been a really competitive person. So just playing casually wasn't enough for me.
Sure.
And I think I kind of randomly stumbled across Counter-Strike, and it kind of just stuck with me as, the game that I wanted to play nonstop, and I became obsessed with it. So,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, eventually I just kept grinding and made my way onto, a few decent advanced teams and got the attention of the Collegiate program I'm at now, which is DavenPort University, and we're kind of just here now.
And did you ever kind of give it a go at some of the other kind of competitive games, League, Dota, so the other kind of bigger scenes, or was it for you like FPS games and kind of CS:GO is always the one that kept your attention?
No, I mean, Counter-Strike is kind of my first love. I grew up playing Call of Duty, but the
Classic, yeah,
first
yeah.
actual competitive game I played was Counter-Strike, and it just stuck with that since. And even to this day, I don't play any other games. It's just purely Counter-Strike, and
Nice.
that's where all my hours are.
Fair enough. And because you already sort of mentioned it, Davenport University. How did this sort of opportunity come about for you?
So like I said, I was playing on a advanced team at the time, and we made a pretty deep playoff run. And I knew that I wanted to go to college, and at the time, I thought I was going to college for soccer,
Okay.
but I kind of realized that I had more potential in Counter-Strike than even a traditional sport.
Sure.
So I went about reaching out to different collegiate programs, and I actually connected with my current teammate Pug,
Yes. Yeah.
and he looked into me and thought that I'd be a good fit for the program, and I kind of trusted him, and you can go back to our chats before when the team was even in open, and he knew that this team was going to be something special, and we kind of took the risk, and it paid off, and we've been working hard ever since.
So of course you mentioned Pug, right? I mean, the IGL of your roster, you've kind of had kind of a fairy tale-ish story in a sense. You mentioned going from open all the way now to playing at kind of the top level domestically speaking. How much does it mean for you guys to have gone from kind of being distant, kind of no-name rookies in a way to being kind of the sort of hotter prospects coming out of NA now?
Oh, it means the world to us. I mean, like I said, we had faith from the very beginning, but it's just still surreal to even be here in this moment. And the fact that we're not happy with where we're at, we want even more. We want to push eventually to Pro League and go even farther. So, it honestly is surreal to me, but we're not happy. So,
Fair
we
enough.
want more.
And tell me more about kind of just Davenport as a program, as a scholarship. How does it work? How does the whole kind of program work? Because I think the big thing to say is that for most people around the world who aren't from NA, scholarships like that are really, really hard to come by. Even in the UK, we have decent university teams, but there's no such thing really as a scholarship, or not kind of at any decent level.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think about it kind of like a traditional sport in at Davenport, because we're treated just like the other athletes at our school. And like you already mentioned, we're given scholarship to compensate for us attending the school. And along with academic scholarships and other scholarships that we receive, it takes a big chunk off the price and
For sure.
makes it a viable option for us to pursue our professional paths here.
I love to hear
So
it.
yeah, I like to look at it like we're in a way just traditional athletes at the school, and the school is really good in treating us just like everyone else.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And tell me about how does the kind of the program itself work? What is the kind of what is your schedule essentially? What are you looking towards, and how does the sort of balance between the student lifestyle and I guess kind of the esports side as well?
Yeah, so I mean, all of us are full-time students at the school, and our class schedule varies a bit, but pretty much we wake up every morning, go to our classes, go to two to four classes. Um, we always get team lunches and team dinners and stuff together at
Sure.
the dining hall, and and then we practice throughout the evening, and we grind a lot during the evening, so we
Love it.
practice 4 to 5 hours at least every day, and then on our
Nice.
match days, obviously it's a little lighter, but yeah, it's a pretty serious schedule, and it can be a grind for us.
Fair enough. And outside, of course, you mentioned kind of the scholarship takes a chunk off the fees going to uni. But what other benefits do you get as kind of a scholarship esports player?
Yeah, I mean, what's awesome is we get access to the esports lab that's on our campus, as well
Mm,
as any all the gyms on our campus, and
sure.
like all that kind of stuff. And we don't have to, worry about paying for fees and memberships for that kind of stuff. So I've noticed that actually once I've been on campus, I become a lot more active because I have all these tools and resources
Right.
available
Okay.
to me to make myself a better person outside
Mm,
of the game too. Like it's not just the in-game stuff that
of course. Yeah.
is you get benefited from going to DavenPort. It's the IRL stuff too, which is great.
Fair enough. I guess on the other side, I think something that's maybe not spoken about as much, but what kind of sacrifices do you think you have? Because I mean, your schedule must be insane.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, especially during finals week and midterms, it does become a very like it's a grind, man. Like a lot of us are mentally tired
For
and
sure.
like very strained during those times because we have to study so much, and especially when we're playing professional teams that are on salary and
Yeah.
they're playing CS as their job while we're full-time students while trying to compete against them. It becomes so hard.
I can
So.
imagine. Yeah.
mm.
I guess on the other side, kind of with with the scholarship itself, do you have requirements as a team? Kind of, do you have like specific things you need to hit to be able to kind of fulfill your scholarship? Because you look towards kind of maybe traditional sports. Some players will be on scholarships, which kind of they're looking for titles domestically. Kind of, what is it for you guys?
Yeah, so as far as the academic side goes, we all have to maintain like a 2.5 or 2.0, which is no problem for all of us.
For sure.
But we're definitely encouraged to be over a 3.0, which I believe all of us hit, at least on the D1 team, all of us
Mm,
hit consistently. Um, and then as far as like the winning the winning requirements and stuff, the schools, since we're in our infancy as far as the program and stuff, the school
for
doesn't
sure.
really put too much pressure on us. But as a team ourselves, we've decided that as far as collegiate goes, first
Mm,
place is our only option, and
sure.
like
Sure.
nothing else. You know what I mean? Like we will only be first for collegiate, and uh, that's our goal. But the school doesn't pressure us at all.
Fair enough. And you mentioned as well, kind of you're the D1 side. You got, if I'm right, is it three sides you've got? I know there's three at Frag at the very least. Kind of, how does it work? The interworkings between all those teams. Do you speak to the kind of the D2, D3 at all, or are you not really that interworking with them?
Oh man, yeah, I interact with the D2 and D3 team every single day, and
Okay,
I think I actually might talk to them more outside of the game than my actual teammates because it gives me an
sure.
opportunity you know, to work on myself as a person
Mm,
and not have the in-game pressures lead outside of the game. So every single day I'm working with the D2 and D3 team, and so are my other teammates to make sure that they're performing to the
mm,
best to their highest standards and
for sure.
working through all of their issues and stuff. So yeah,
Okay.
no, we definitely are a very connected team.
And how does it work in terms of course, if if one of those guys in the D2 roster, for example, really starts to pick up form, really starts to get that better player, how does it work in terms of interchanging players? Is that a possibility, or for let's say for example, one of your teammates starts really dropping off in form, there's a guy in D2 who starts really picking up in form. Is it a kind of a smooth transition to swap the two out, or is it kind of a case of they're on a specific scholarship, so it makes it tougher?
Yeah, so actually right now we're in the process of making like a program-wide like playbook and strat book
Sure.
so that in the future transitions like that can be seamless because every team is using similar strategies and playing
Yes.
the
Yeah.
same type of CS. And that is our goal to be able to seamlessly transition. And I think honestly what would happen first is D2 and D3 would probably
Right.
swap
Yeah.
out and
Yeah.
mix more, but the goal is to have players on D2 capable of performing at the same level as D1 players that we can
Nice.
make a system like that.
For sure, for sure. And on the other side, we kind of already slightly touched on it, but with kind of DU for example, if you have a tournament, you mentioned you had Frag recently. If you have kind of assignments around that sort of time, do you get exemptions from classes and assignments and that kind of thing to compete for in tournaments on behalf of Davenport?
Yep. Actually, Fragadelphia aligned with our first week of school, and
Hmm.
we all get out of class. We all get exemptions from any assignments that might be due during that time. So the school is wonderful with us when working with our schedule and
Awesome.
understanding that our busy schedule.
For sure, that's sick. And kind of outside of the esports side of things, kind of how does Davenport kind of prepare you guys, I guess, for potentially what could be a future as a professional kind of esports athlete?
Yeah, they do a great job. Like I said, our program director is always working with us and trying to get us connected with different internships
For
and
sure.
people within the scene to, even if we're not going to be a actual player in the future, even being a coach and or being
Yeah,
a
for sure.
director on other programs, and not in the CS teams, but other players within the program have actually gone on to be directors at other colleges. So he does great with that.
That's sick. That's sick. So the kind of the biggish question: if the opportunity came right now for you to step up into kind of one of the bigger NA teams potentially, would you then drop everything you've got here at Davenport and make that move into going pro, or do you think you kind of see yourself finishing off college, getting that done first, and then trying to make the step back up again?
Yeah, I mean that's a hard question, and I'd have to see the details, but I
Mhm.
think that uh, one thing we're all clear about is that this team is meant to build players up and give them that opportunity to play on any, not even just NA teams but any
For sure.
professional team, and one day that is going to happen, especially with the course that we're going on. And I think that we all understand that it's okay, and that's we should be happy for players if they get that opportunity, and
Yes.
we
Yeah.
should encourage them to take that. For me, I'm still an underclassman right now, so honestly it probably would be worth it for me to take an offer like that.
Yeah.
But as I get farther into my academic career, it might be a harder question if I should
For
finish school
sure. For
first.
sure.
So we'll get there when that happens, but
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
So tell me about the collegiate scene, because it's one of those things that I mentioned kind of in the UK and in EU as well. We don't really see it as much. I think a couple of the Scandinavian universities have similar-ish programs, but it's still very very rare. But it seems much bigger, kind of collegiate esports. Tell me kind of I guess like how the aura is around esports, kind of in comparison to EU in that sense.
Yeah, I think that in NA, I mean, we still have a lot of growing pains as far as collegiate CS goes and stuff, but the difference is like there's programs that have five players that actually play together
Mhm.
like us. Because I think the issue is for a lot of collegiate programs, they have five players, but they're only playing collegiate secondary to their
Right. Right.
primary team. So I think that the one thing NA does do right is a lot of the programs make sure that the teams are playing purely, ESEA and everything
Mhm.
together as a five, so that you can build that chemistry and go further. We would never be where we're at right now if we were just playing, on different ESEA
Different,
teams and
yeah,
squads.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So what do you think Davenport does? You mentioned, you guys play as a five. That is your team. But what else do you think Davenport does that makes it better than other collegiate programs? Because I think, especially in recent times, it's kind of making a name for itself as being kind of this role model of a program for collegiate CS:GO.
Yeah, I think honestly at first that Davenport got lucky with the players that they recruited, but I do think now that, especially like I said with our director, he is totally willing and happy to go with our plan, and
Mhm.
make sure that any goals or dreams that we have for this program happen. And with bringing in Koi,
Mhm.
it kind of put us down a path of greatness to succeed and go where we're at. But I will be honest with you, I think that at first with recruits like Pug and me, the school kind of got lucky with and you can ask our director because
Yeah.
he actually thought the school was going to be a League of Legends school. So
Ah,
I'm
okay.
glad, yeah, I'm glad we can make it a CS school.
Exactly, you made the right decision there. What
Yeah.
what makes the Davenport team so good? Like, what makes you guys as a five, of course, including Coy as well as the coach? Kind of what makes your side so good?
I think that what makes us so good is our willingness to grow
Hmm.
and our willingness to be better people outside of the server as well. I think that a lot of people don't realize that it takes the right fit of people to actually make an in-person team, a team that's going to be interacting with each other in person.
Sure.
Great. A lot of people think would be great fit for them or whatever, but it really takes a special type of person to make it work. And
Yeah.
I think that right now we have five players and a coach that can make that work.
Hmm.
And I don't know what our ceiling is right now. So,
That's the best thing, right? I mean,
mhm.
it can be anything. So talk to me about kind of the domestic scene for you guys. We've seen you now competing within the kind of the ECA leagues. We've seen you of course play at Frag. You mentioned we were kind of having the conversation just before we went live of CCT. Are these kind of the next steps for Davenport? Kind of essentially making all the steps that a professional roster would make, but of course still representing the university.
Yeah, I mean, our next step is just to start winning these tournaments, and we're already showing that we're capable of competing with the best, but
Mhm.
it's time for us to actually take series off the best, and you win some lands, win some events, and prove to people that we are serious, and we're here to stay in NA.
And I think if I'm right in saying you had a 2-0 over Mythic recently in ECL. If I'm right in saying, was that the first college side to ever do that in ECL?
Yep. And I, we were the first college team to ever make ECL as a
Yeah.
five, and then when we beat Mythic, I was so happy with that, and so like I think I posted that on Twitter
Hmm.
because a lot of players and teams in NA make ECL and they're content with just staying at the bottom and going
Yeah.
0-7. But in our mind, that's never an option. It's our first season of ECL with moving people moving into their moving into college
For
and
sure. For
travel
sure.
with us picking up Estonian player that we couldn't practice with.
Hmm.
We could have every excuse to go 0-7 or be a bottom tier team, but we're not willing to take that, and
Hmm.
we really want to push to the top and hopefully make playoffs this season. So
That's it. Yeah. So what is the kind of the realistic goal? You mentioned making playoffs. Kind of for you guys at the moment. Let's talk kind of just this season. Of course, we can talk about future goals. You mentioned Pro League, all of those great things. But right this season, what is kind of the realistic goal? Is it kind of make playoffs, use that as a benchmark next season, try and keep pushing forward, potentially even look towards those conference spots? But what is now?
yeah, I think this season's goal is definitely to make playoffs. And obviously, if we make playoffs, we'd be extremely happy with that. But the overall goal for the season is just to get our feet set in ECL
For sure.
and make sure that we're going to be a team that can always stay at ECL level. And once we have our feet set after the season, our goal is definitely Pro League and to go further. So
Love it. That's what we like to hear. And speaking of kind of going further, what is the kind of, or is there any plans to kind of maybe take Davenport kind of international in that sense? Compete within those tournaments that are in Europe, because the bulk of the bigger tournaments are Europe based at the moment. If you think upcoming even there's Rotterdam, for example, which one of those challenger leagues. What's the kind of plan around that, or is that kind of a little bit too far in the future?
yeah, no, I mean, we're always looking to compete in international tournaments, and it might become a problem with our classes and stuff,
Hmm.
but honestly, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, to be fair.
So, but yeah, we're always looking for international competitions, and we might have a boot camp in works for in Europe this
Sick.
upcoming year. So
Oh,
yeah, we definitely
that's
have plans.
huge. To kind of be able to scrim against some of like the better EU teams. That's gonna not only push you guys further, but really give you kind of a fighting chance. But tell me about kind of the scene. Let's move away from Davenport now. Let's talk about the scene. The NA scene at the moment, it gets memed a little bit. It does get shit on a little bit. But kind of, what are your thoughts? You're an active part of it. You see it on a daily basis. What are your thoughts on kind of how the scene is right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the scene is it's in a better state than it has been the past years, but it's
Hmm.
still in a rough place. And I think the main problem with the scene is that, even though we're all NA teams and we're all NA players, like I think a lot of people like to see the downfall of other teams and players in the scene, and they don't
Right.
like to actually support other players when they get opportunities and chances, which is heartbreaking, but
Hmm.
it's just how it is. And I think what needs to change is I think the people at the top and the people rising through the scene need to support other players and really be happy when NA teams are getting an opportunity
For
to
sure.
play in Europe or give it their chance.
And for NA to kind of get back to being kind of one of those, the big kind of firepower within kind of competitive CS:GO, what changes to the circuit would you like to see? Because I feel like at the moment it's a little bit barren over there.
Yeah, I mean, man, I don't even know exactly what we need, but it's always good to see more tournaments like CCT and other
Hmm.
stuff that gives exposure to, even main and advanced teams that might not get that exposure otherwise.
For
And
sure.
I think the biggest thing though is just getting that experience against, better teams, which happens to be at the moment EU teams. So anytime we can get any EU tournaments over here, it's great because any teams are scrimming, some of the best
Yeah.
teams in the world. So I think we just need to see more tournaments in NA, honestly.
And speaking of kind of NA as well, we go of FBL. FBL sort of dropped off for a long time within NA. I know it had a kind of a really bad state. It started to climb back up again, but kind of what improvements would you want to see to FBL?
The number one improvement that needs to happen in FPL is people need to lose their egos and be teachers
Always.
instead of
Yeah.
yeah, they need to be teachers instead of tearing down people that are not as good. And I think that a lot of people in NA, like I said, they don't want the best for other players.
Hmm.
And in the state FPL is in right now, it is not a place where younger, less experienced players can
For
learn and
sure.
grow, which is what needs to change 100% if players in NA are ever going to be taken seriously.
Hmm. For sure. I've got looking towards NA. You, of course, there's a kind of a distinct lack of AWPers. I think is probably the best way. If you look towards kind of the top level, OC is really the only one that's kind of knows to be making a name for himself as an AWPer. Do you see yourself kind of rising through those ranks, kind of being one of the next names in that conversation of AWPers coming out of NA?
Yeah, that's definitely something I see myself doing. It's just it's kind of up to me to, take
For
advantage of the
sure, for sure.
opportunities I'm given. And but yeah, I always dream about that, and I'm always striving to be someone that can, make a name within NA for
Hmm.
to be an opper. So for sure, man.
What do you think you need to do to kind of kind of be more involved in that conversation of those top level AWPers coming out of NA? What do you personally think you need to do? Is it kind of just more experience? Is it more screaming against I mentioned EU teams for example? What do you think it is?
I just need to learn from the greatest, and I need to keep grinding in the server and, putting in more hours
Mm.
watching the game instead of playing the game. So
Oh, for sure.
I definitely have the potential. It's just I need to spend my time wisely and make sure I can, compete at that level.
Yeah, and speaking of, kind of, that follows quite nice into the next question. Is there sort of players that you try to sort of mold your play style around? And kind of, OC is one of those prominent AWPers coming out of NA, or do you look towards kind of EU influencers of kind of, demos to watch, people to learn from?
I think it's a mix. It really is. Like, it just depends on what I'm trying to get out of, each day when I'm practicing. But I definitely do watch a lot of like OC demos and, just any team and any opera that is, performing well. And I want to see why, because I want to see if I can replicate how they're playing,
For sure.
and recently within the past, month, I've seen a lot of success replicating the style of top tier operas. So.
Sure. Fair enough, fair enough. And for yourself as well, kind of when you look to kind of when you were getting involved in CS:GO, was there any players that were kind of your heroes, your icons? You look towards kind of in Brazil that everyone looked up to people like Fallen, for example. People in the EU look up towards the Simples, the Get Right, or Forest. For
Yeah.
you, who was it kind of when you were coming through? You just kind of loved them as an icon.
Man, I think that when I first got into CS and I was watching, I think that Cloud9 roster, and
Classic,
I guess
yeah,
specifically like Skadoodle was just like
yeah, yeah.
something I loved watching, and it really got me into the game and made me want to play CS competitively. So,
Hmm.
I guess that whole Cloud9 roster really got me into it, which is cool because recently we played Rush on stage. So
That's very true. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, right.
Tell me
So
about Frag. How was it for you guys? I think kind of when you went to Frag, everyone was looking at kind of Apex, Big Academy,
yeah.
EGPA, but I think you guys got slept on, and you proved a lot of people wrong.
Yeah, going into Frag, we definitely knew that it was going to be hard because of the level of competition that was
Mm.
coming into it. And we did get kind of unlucky with our group. I think that
Yeah.
if we were in three of the other groups, we would have made it out, easily.
Yeah.
But, we got given the hand we got given, and uh, I'm happy with how we performed. And losing sucks, but we definitely learned a lot out of that game. And we know that we could have made it to playoffs, and we know that we beat ourselves, honestly,
For
that
sure.
day. So it makes me encouraged for the future of this team. So
Yeah, and kind of when they were over there, did you have opportunities to speak to people like Shocks, for example, Major Winner, those sort of big names, or even the PA guys who, of course, kind of domestically speaking, are some of the bigger names.
yeah, and I mean a lot of the guys I'm good friends with. So
Hmm.
honestly, this frag was a great opportunity to just watch good players play, and then get insight directly from them on how to play better or like what to
Sure.
do. So yeah, I had a great time and talked to a lot of really cool people, and a lot of the European guys are super chill and very nice too, and it makes me encouraged for the future of myself in the game. So
Love to say. Did you get a chance to speak to any of the UK boys? I know we had two teams over
yeah,
there. Yeah. What
yep.
were they like from your opinion?
Oh, I talked to the 7 a.m. guys for
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
30 minutes straight, and man, they are just awesome guys. They're super nice, and
Hmm.
yeah, we had a great time. And I didn't talk to the Black Hand guys as much,
Mm.
but we obviously played them in the server, and
For sure.
I have nothing but good to say about the UK CS guys that showed up there, and
Love to
it
say.
was cool to see them and chat with them.
And of course, talking about kind of the UKCS and the EU guys that came over, how different did it feel when you played against kind of these guys who, of course, come from a completely different scene? Was it
Yeah,
noticeable in the
so
server?
so Black Hand, I think that they caught us off guard at first because
Mm.
we dropped our first map against them, and
Yeah.
honestly, like it's my first time ever playing a European team, I believe, and
Hmm.
it wasn't that I noticed something different about how they played specifically. They just played a very smart CS,
For sure.
and I think that our expectations of how they played made us more nervous or made us like,
Right. Okay.
not as prepared to play them because as an NA player, you always hear how, top tier UCS is, how top, you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. For sure.
And so I think that if we just went into the game with a blank mind and didn't even think about who we were playing, I think we would have played a lot differently. But Yeah, it definitely was different playing them, and I think that EU teams play a lot smarter than NA teams.
And would you say is anything on the other side of kind of them being quicker or slower? Kind of how does it differ
Yeah.
from kind of the NA guys that you're so used to playing against?
I think that EU teams, at least when we play Blackhand, and from what I was watching, they actually play slower because they're
Mm,
more calculated and they
right,
they
right.
they take a lot more calculated risk. Where in NA, I see a lot of, even on our team, even on any NA team, uh, it's very fast paced and
For
just
sure.
taking fights and swinging every angle together, swinging everything instead
Yeah,
of properly clearing like stuff. And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's something I've learned a lot from Switcher coming onto our team because he's always telling us, he's like, guys, like slow down, slow
Mhm.
down. So it was cool to see it in actually in action, all these teams.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough. And speaking of yourself, we'll finish off the last couple of questions on specifically CS:GO. Who do you think is kind of the best player that you've ever played with, in your opinion?
Oh, I
Whether and this could be
I
like
think
a
I
team or FPL or anything like that. Kind of who's the
oh
one player that just
oh
stands out?
okay. I think the best player I've ever played with was in FPL.
Hmm.
I honestly have to say some of the MIBR guys. Like I can't
Okay,
even choose one. Every single FPL game I've ever had with an MIBR player is
just nuts.
just insane. Like they're not playing the same game as me.
Hmm.
But I'll actually change my answer.
Go on.
As good as the MIBR guys are, the best player in NA, the best player in the world is Mobsb. That guy
Mobs is
is insane.
cracked. He's
He is
actually
playing a different
nuts.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's not playing the same game I'm playing. That guy
he's
is
so
insane.
good. I mean, I've been on that Mobs wagon for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he'd be kind of comfortably tier one by now, to be perfectly
Yeah,
honest.
like
But
and
he's different
honestly,
gravy.
yeah, it's unfortunate for us that he's on team one right now because man, he makes that team so
So
good. Like
good. Yeah,
Mobs is playing a different game.
love it. And then on the other side, who would you say is kind of the most underrated player that you think kind of doesn't get the respect that they actually deserve? And you don't have to have played with them, just someone that you think kind of from NA maybe or from kind of the Americas that you think is super underrated.
Yeah, I don't know who the most underrated player is,
Mm.
but I do have to say one player that I think is underrated and honestly deserves great in the scene is Hate on Mythic.
Okay, sure.
I played with him in FPL. Obviously, we play against him in the ECL and stuff,
Hmm.
but he is very underrated and he has so much potential and raw skill. And
Sure.
he's really young too. I think he's my age, so
Hmm.
I honestly think that that dude is super underrated and has potential in this game.
Love to see. Okay, we'll move on to kind of just some more questions just about you. So, kind of outside of CS and outside of esports, what was life like growing up? What did you get up to?
I mean, I grew up in a small town. I grew up in Indiana, and
Sure.
I mean, like I said, I've always been a competitive person.
Mhm.
Everything I do, it has to be a competition, or I played like every sport pretty much, man.
Right.
Like,
Fair enough.
and like I said earlier, I actually played high school soccer,
Hmm.
and I was looking at getting recruited to play collegiate soccer. So,
Fair enough.
it was very
Very
strange
nearly
when,
that path kind of thing.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
so close to going down that path, and I kind of just had a moment where I realized where I'll be able to make more of a career out of CS
Mm,
than I ever would out of a traditional sport like soccer or whatever.
sure.
So
Do you still
yeah, I
play?
mean, I still play casually. I don't. We're looking to get a Davenport. We have so many Davenport players. We're looking to sign up for a men's league. So hopefully
Nice.
we can make
Okay.
that happen.
Sick.
But yeah, like I mean, I'm a pretty chill guy. Like I said,
Mhm.
I grew up in a tiny little town, and you know, um,
Just
I'm
chilled
a
out.
pretty boring guy, honestly.
Nah. What position did you play?
I am a striker.
Oh,
I'm a
nice.
striker.
Same here. I respect it.
I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I actually hold multiple records on my high school. So
Mm.
yeah,
Go on. Tell us. Tell the people. What
uh,
have we got?
I I mean I've got the all time 4-year record for amount
Nice.
of goals, and
How many
then
was that?
oh dude,
Rough.
I
You
don't
guys like
even
a
know.
rough ball
Too
like
many,
ballpark, but too many.
too many.
It's
I
too
don't know.
good.
I haven't even honestly since I've gone down the path of CS. I've been kind of emo with soccer.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't wanted to think about it too much and stuff
Yeah.
because I really did enjoy it. So.
Yeah. No, for
And
sure.
then I also have the single season record at my school. So,
Nice. Solid stuff. Solid stuff. So,
and
oh, you go on.
oh no, I was just gonna say, and like I'm not like some insane athlete, but one thing that playing traditional sports has made me realize, it's like
Sure.
it's all the mental,
Yeah.
and that's what I
Massively.
love about CS.
Mhm.
It's all mental, man.
Yeah, you
And
seem like you've got that kind of that sorted out. Do you do anything
yeah,
specifically to kind of keep your mental in check? Especially like, for example, like, let's use the Black Hand example. You go a map down, you know, it's kind of it's a very important game for you guys. What do you, or for you individually, kind of what's your way of keeping your mental in check,
yeah.
making sure you still got it?
Man, I think that what I'm really good at is I don't care what the score is of the game. I don't care if we're down 15-0.
Mm,
It's forget about the score and play one round at a time.
for sure.
You know, you could be up 15-0. It doesn't matter. You need to play each round at a time until the game is over. You know, I
That's good.
like if you just change your mentality to that, it doesn't matter ever if you're down 13-2. It's I just got to win this round. I got to win the next round.
That's
I got to
it.
win the next round.
I love it.
And you know, I think that our team's mental is really good and you know, we do struggle at times from, you know, things that happen in game. You know, they drain you and they ruin your mental, but you just got to change your mindset to not care about the score and to just play the game.
That's it. Love to see it. So, you go Davenport. What do you study?
I study finance. I'm majoring in
Okay,
finance.
nice. So, if there was a world and a place where you know professional CS:GO was no longer an option, would that be the kind of the career you'd try and move into?
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, at this point, I'm pretty established in the esports world.
Yeah,
So
for
even
sure.
if I'm not a player, I feel like I could get a, you know, a career in esports somehow,
Mhm.
some way. I'm sure. And but yes, absolutely. And that's the great thing about you know going to Davenport is, at the end of the day, we could lose every single match in ECL. We could lose every single match
Mhm.
we play. But at the end of the day, I'm still going down the path for my academic career. So
There we go.
it makes me it helps my mental and helps me realize that the bigger picture in life. So.
That's it. It's important. It kind of keeps you
Yeah.
grounded as well. You've kind of got. I think the best thing is you've got multiple options. I think you know soccer's a pretty good example. Kind of football in England, we have the same thing where like players will go through the academy and they'll spend their entire life in these academies or in these kind of you know programs, and then you know they get dropped, and then that's it. They got no backup. But at least for you guys, all of you are going to come our way with this with a very good level of CS:GO and you know a degree alongside of it.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, that's ultimately what helped me make the decision at the end of the day. And you know, honestly, life is full of risks, and you know, every single one of us is taking a risk right now. But you
Hmm.
know, like you said, at the end of the day, if everything fails, you know, we're still
You're chilling.
successful. We
You'll be
still
fine.
graduate.
You'll be
Yep.
fine. So do you think if you kind of you graduate, you don't go into professional CS, would you try and make it kind of esports finance? Would that be kind of like your sort of dream after university?
Yeah, so it's funny. I've always known I wanted to do something in the business world, and I just never knew what I wanted to do. So
Sure.
I think that being a player and you know seeing all the success of you know people within the esports industry, I think that it's pretty clear right now in my mind that I do want to combine my two interests together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like general manager, I feel like that's a pretty like CS
Yeah,
CS financy role. Making a
yeah,
team. Who knows? Who knows? So
who
what do you like to
knows?
do, kind of hobbies wise and interest wise? We already spoke about kind of football, but like at the moment, kind of what are your hobbies and interests outside of esports? So do you get up to movies, TV shows, or do you like to do, you know other things? Do you have other hobbies that people might not know about?
Yeah, like you said, my main hobbies are pretty much anything like athletic related. I want to keep myself fit and
Nice.
you know healthy outside of the game, and I'm still striving to you know be the person I want to be as far as that goes. So
Hmm.
that takes up most of my spare time. But you know I'm always watching movies and you know spending time you know talking to my girlfriend and stuff.
Hmm.
So I
Go to movie as well. This is a tough
yeah.
one. But what's your go to?
I'm a big dystopian guy, so honestly,
Okay.
any type of dystopian movie, I just so thrilling. I like it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We'll kind of we'll move on to the Twitter and Reddit questions. They're a bit of a mess. I know you've seen some of them, so we'll have a look. But I think a pretty good one to start off with is kind of what's your warm up routine?
Oh, in the past, my warm up routine has been pure like DM deathmatch and stuff,
Mhm.
but recently I've transitioned into you know warming up my mental side of the game and
Sure.
being smart with watching demos and also just learning every single nade I can possibly learn,
I
and
like
just
that.
learning how to
Nice.
position as an opper because what people especially all the oppers out there they don't realize is you need to make your life easier when you're opping. You don't need to hit these insane shots. You don't need to hit
Yes.
these.
Yeah.
If you can position in the right places,
Hmm.
you can get free kills without having to move your mouse.
That's it.
So I think that recently a lot of my warm up has been on the mental side of things and not even just you know spending hours DMing.
It's the sort of kind of device style orbing, isn't it? I mean, he's just like kind of the god of holding angles. He doesn't really do anything flashy, but he's always in the right place.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm trying to strive towards. I don't pull up my clips. Don't watch the games right now. But
One day.
I'm trying to transition to that.
One day. So someone mentioned, what is it like to be dunking on bold CS:GO players? Cooper, to be specific.
I love Cooper, and I love a lot of the Mythic guys. But it's definitely fun to dunk on them. So.
Yeah, yeah. And looking at ECL, who do you think, kind of for you guys, is the biggest competition? Who do you think kind of that team that should walk away with the ECL championship, if it's not yourselves, of course?
MIBR is on another level,
Yeah.
and they are only getting better.
Mhm.
And like I said, also Team One. You know, it's unfortunate we get both those guys in our group, but with Mobs, Team One, and MIBR, they're
Unstoppable kind of
top
thing.
level. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair enough. If you had to choose between kind of MIBR and the kind of the team one at the moment, who just seem to be on this unreal form, I mean, all of them are stepping up. Who do you think is the favorite to take it for UCL?
Definitely MIBR still. They just have a lot more experience, and
Yeah.
you know they have a lot more to work with, and you know they're the big professionals. You know,
Yeah,
what I mean? So I'd honestly be surprised if they didn't walk away with a successful ECL season.
That's fair enough. And of course, looking towards the RMR, you know, I don't know if you've seen kind of the teams who are there. Who do you think is going to make it through? I think it's 6 teams who make it through. Do you have any rough guesses or who you think is going to make it through?
I haven't looked too much into it, and I know the team I wanted to make through though. I want Infinity to make it through.
Infinity.
I don't know how that's not realistic at all, but I want them to perform it. I want to see Infinity stickers in the game.
I think it's very unlikely, but I mean, what a story it would be there, right?
Yeah.
That's fair enough. So, kind of just a very general one. How was Frag for you guys, kind of outside of the playing side, kind of just the more casual side?
It was good. It definitely does feel bad that we had to watch like 3 or 4 days of CS before we actually got to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But as far as the actual trip, it's awesome because DavenPort takes care of everything for us. They
Sick.
get our transportation, they pay for our meals, our hotel, entry fees. We just have to exist. We just have to do our job there.
There we
so.
go. That's what you love to hear.
Frag was great, yeah.
That's sick. That's
awesome.
sick. Okay, so what is your go-to snack or food? Just your go-to, your favorite food, your favorite snack.
I get made fun of it right now, and I don't know why. I don't know why. But just pure spinach, just raw spinach.
Oh, that's rough. I can see why you get made fun of. He's like Popeye. What was that? Where did that even come from?
I mean, our dining hall is great, and there's so many healthy options.
Or
yeah, just straight up the leaves. I'm weird. Sometimes I throw some guac in there. I throw some cheese in there. We make it a little salad, but it's better than a lot of the unhealthier stuff. So
that's fair enough.
I think it's a weird snack to have, but it's good.
Hey, I mean it's healthy, so I can't really fault you. Kind of okay. So for this next one is kind of a pretty easy one to answer because everyone seems to speak so highly of him. But kind of how important has Koi been for the program? I feel like a lot of people speak super highly of Koi. He seems to have made kind of a real difference. But kind of from your perspective, how good has he been?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think he revitalized this program, and he is, very, very important to the program's success. And even my teammate right now, Switcher, he wouldn't be here probably if it wasn't for Koi. So
for sure,
Koi is great with using his resources to bring in the best talent and to make our program the greatest it can be. So yeah, he's definitely vital to the success of this program.
Love to see it. And for you, how long is your college program? Is it kind of 4 years, 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, as we mentioned earlier, my goal right now is to graduate and play on this team as long as I can. And if I do get an offer from a top team, potentially look at that and take that. But yeah, pretty much my lifespan at this program is 4 years, which is pretty common with the rest of the players. But we're all looking to make our mark in professional scene, so never know what will happen.
Does it make it sort of uncomfortable that the fact that you kind of know that the roster essentially has a very specific lifeline? Kind of for you it's 4 years. Maybe some of the guys have been there a year or two longer. They've only got a couple of years left. Does that ever make you guys look towards the future, potentially even look for newer people to fill their spots?
In past rosters, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
When we were going through our growing pains, it was definitely an issue because you need 5 players that can give it their all and be able to give their full attention and time to the game because some people they can't have the schedule with internships and classes. It's just not possible. But with this current roster, absolutely not, because even look at the lifespan of most teams in NA. outside of the professional scene. Look at UCL teams.
Hmm.
You know, most of the lifespans are under a year. So
That's
if
it.
we
Yeah.
can even get over a year, like it is already so much better than the rest of NA. So,
It's
you
very
know,
true.
I'm happy with the environment of the team, and you know, even though we all understand that this team will not last forever,
Hmm.
we understand that in now and in the moment that you know we can make a lasting impact. So
Love it. And speaking of Davenport, someone was asking kind of what can Davenport do, or kind of what can the scene do to copy Davenport to kind of really improve the collegiate scene? What would you want to see to improve specifically the collegiate scene to make it kind of more competitive in that sense? Because at the moment, you guys are kind of I definitely say you're at the kind of the top of the conversation, and you know towards the bottom is not as competitive. What would you want to see kind of the collegiate scene generally change to kind of improve and get to your level?
the collegiate scene will improve and exponentially like increase in value once public universities start funding
Right,
CS
right.
teams and are able to give scholarships because honestly going to an in-state school compared to a private school is
Hmm.
so much cheaper and you can capture so much more talent if public schools are able to give scholarships and
Sure,
once that
sure.
happens the collegiate esports scene and especially the CS scene will just be insane, you
That's
know.
what we love to see. So someone asked if NA Advanced or ECL had a fist fight, who would win?
Oh my God.
It feels like a tough
I
question, that one, to be honest.
you know I feel like I have to say me, but I definitely would not win. Um, I'd say Cooper or Freakazoid. I think one of
Yeah.
those guys would take it. I believe in them.
I feel like if you're including coaches, Semphis might have to come into the
Oh
conversation
yeah,
too. That guy is an animal, like an absolute animal. I feel like he may
yeah,
have to creep in. But
yeah, definitely.
so I think Nart was asking, will you do a TikTok dance after every win now?
Yes, yes. We're making this a tradition.
Hmm.
After every ECL win and every important match win, I'm dancing on them. I don't care.
There we go. So
So
you've got CCT later. Is that important enough for a dance?
yeah, I think the last game we played was not enough for a dance. I recorded one and I was like, I
Nah,
was like,
like.
nah. I was like, this is we beat them too easily. I just can't. But yeah, definitely against these guys. Yeah, so
Okay,
they
there we
better
go.
win or they're gonna dance on.
There we go. And then is it going to be anything special if you win, you know, like a trophy, or if you win like a CCT, or if you, you know, you
Oh,
make? Is there anything? Can we expect anything special coming?
oh yeah, expect something crazy. I'm sure the school will probably regret whatever I decide, but yeah, expect something crazy.
I'm expecting like you know some sort of montage of you know multiple locations sort of thing, like maybe a whole routine. Get the boys involved as well.
Yeah, there'll be some TikToks, man. There'll be
There we
some
go.
fun stuff.
We love to see it. Someone asked the penultimate question is can you Ne0?
No, no. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a horrible dancer. I mean, I can,
I like the
but
confidence though. You know, you just go
yeah,
for it.
right, right. Like you just gotta be fun.
Exactly.
You gotta be cringe, man. But no, I mean, I could, but I'm just horrible at it.
And finally, so I replied this and all. I know you saw it. Would you like to do a little outro dance for the fans?
I'll give you an outro dance.
Yes.
We'll default dance on them to end this.
Yes,
So
there we go.
yeah,
This
we'll
is it.
make it a tradition. So yeah.
There we go. People, here we go. Oh, this is it. Thank you. Kojomo, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Kojomo, default dance. Brother, thank you very much for coming on. It's been very insightful to get. You know, I've been running through the college scene, the NA scene. Thank you very much for coming on. I won't take any more of your time, but brother, thank you for joining me. Thank you for the dance as well.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me.
Brother, best of luck as well in ECL. You already 1-0 up, which is very good. Best of luck in CCT starting today, but this video won't be out by then. But when it's out, we'll see how you're doing in CCT. But best luck, brother. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll leave you to the rest of the day. Thank you for the dance. Thank you everyone at home for watching as well. It's been another brilliant episode. Now I guess I know, very insightful, very funny as well. So very very good. Thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.